what is your definition of innovation, and what does innovation mean to you?
The definition of innovation to me is providing technological advancements, economic advancements, or any sort of new advancements using creative ideas, using marketing, using all these different tools to provide new services or goods that propel the public good.
Outstanding. So, second question. What is your favorite innovation or technological advancement or piece of technology in the last several years?
There's different technologies for different innovation cycles. When I was growing up, the biggest innovation for me, my family, and my education, in my generation, I guess the millennials, I was born in 1996. And it was not the birth of the internet, but the growing of the internet. This is when Google came out. The dot-com era cycle happened, but it didn't affect Guam as much. And this is not something I knew at the time. I was still 5 years old. All right, we were paying with credit cards or using the internet, but we were still on landlines. I still remember wiring up to like a dial-up modem. And we've come a long way since then. The technology we have today for the internet is wireless. We have it on our cell phones, and it's provided to everyone across the island and obviously across the world. But when we talk about our island and what our island's technology needs are, the internet has provided the information, the ability to communicate in ways that we haven't been able to before. Almost everyone is connected right now. From the early 2000s to 2025, almost everybody has a cell phone, and almost everybody has access to the internet, to this wealth of information that exists. And I think that has been spectacular. Talking about eras, that was in the early 2000s. What I've noticed in the next era, around the 2010s, after the big fall of the financial markets and everything, was a new era of technology during the 2010s. And this era was the era of SaaS companies. SaaS was very popular 10 years ago. SaaS is the acronym for the word software as a service. What it means is, in the past, we had search engines like Google. We had applications like MySpace, but we didn't have a lot of services and applications that helped businesses. It helped technology specifically. We could find more technology tools. We could work more in the digital world. We could apply to what I did, apply to universities through technology. But what we saw in the mid-2010s was the growth of delivery drivers, Uber, Lyft, all competing to disrupt certain markets. We have Grab in international spaces. These specific applications were made to disrupt markets that already existed. And there's this whole cycle of technology innovation that happened in Silicon Valley. They got very popular. A lot of media surrounded it. And I just graduated high school. I wasn't ready for this just yet. But I was aware that this was a big thing. Social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, started to grow in this software as a service environment. And what we have from the early 2000s QuickBooks to what we have today is insurmountably different. Back then, it was very manual. The interface was a little clunky, a little hard to use. But when we file our taxes today, our business taxes using QuickBooks, it's as simple as clicking a button, exporting it to an Excel sheet, and generating reports from those things. Back then, there was a lot of manual processes involved, and we streamlined those processes today. And finally, the era of 2020s, we had a short bout with blockchain and crypto technologies, just to let that out there. But today, most of the momentum in 2025, and as I predict in the next year or two, is coming from large language models, which is a subset of AI. These large language models help us predict based on a prompt. I know here we're getting a little technical, but we ask these models a question. Simply, what's the weather outside? Or even something as complicated as, how would I create an annual report with this given budget? And AI is coming a long way. It's coming really fast. to solve these problems. And what I predict in the next 5 years is this wave of SaaS that happened in 2015 will apply itself today in 2025, but the technologies that will be developed become faster to be created. They'll happen, the technologies will be created faster, and there's a lot more services that not necessarily will be disrupted, but will be optimized, and the processes will become quicker and leaner. I know we're going to talk about this somewhat later, but I want to emphasize the importance of that innovation, is that this is the wave that we are looking at today. And instead of always being in the past, meaning back in the 2000s, I learned about Google on my own. I was on my computer learning about these technologies. And by the time I graduated college and came back to Guam, the technologies really hasn't changed on the island, but in the mainland around California, I saw the technologies as it grew. So today we have an opportunity to bring these past technologies, and instead of keeping them in the past, we can modernize and bring them to the future and continue to build as we progress in that timeline.
Hey, Jordan, I love that answer. That was a great overview and putting things in different eras and show kind of the development and evolution of technology over the decades, and putting it in perspective of Guam and where Guam is to kind of show the future of where we could go. I really love that answer. So thank you for that. Third question. Tell me about a particular innovation or piece of technology that surprised you, if you will. What I mean by that is maybe when it first came out, you thought it was dumb or stupid or strange, to say the least, but now it's something that you can't live without.
I'll be a little bit honest here, and it's a tough question for me to answer because I enjoy all types of innovation. What innovation really is someone putting their creative work, or a group of people putting their creative work out there and trying to see if it sticks, trying to see if other people enjoy those type of software. Kind of flipping it around, I was very interested in blockchain technologies and the capabilities of blockchain in itself. It was a large network of trust and all these tools built into it, but it came to, like, talking about software eras during the pandemic and early 2020s, a different way of using technology, not for good. And I was afraid about AI.
Hold on, let me interrupt
path.
you before you go forward. When you say using technology not for good, you mean like what you saw in the early era of Bitcoin, where a lot of criminal organizations were using it to hide funds or do their transactions under the radar. Is that what you mean?
That's what I mean. And there's also in the political news of FTX, a large
Yeah.
cryptocurrency organization that has a lot of scandals on it, and they're currently or are already prosecuted by the Department of Justice. So that is some technologies that I was disappointed in, because the underlying technology is supposed to protect people. It's supposed to build trust.
Yes.
Through a network that's trusted, and it wasn't used for good. And what I was afraid of when I was studying AI around the time I was graduating college and entering the workforce, this was model training. This was in the nascency or the early years of large language model development. Back then, it was just a fun thing. It could tell us the weather, but it couldn't help us create like an analytical report back in 2018, 2019. And when things started to shift and people really started to invest in it, companies across Silicon Valley and across the world started to put the greatest minds to this piece of software and all the data that we have gathered during the era of SaaS models, having all the social media platforms and choosing those to train models. I know it gets a little technical here, but the point is, I see the good. And the good of that is we shift a lot of the manual and tedious work that can be done by a computer to the computer. And by that, I mean, we don't do calculations by hand anymore. We use an Excel
Yeah.
sheet and we drag that list down.
Yes.
This tool with AI is very similar to that Excel sheet that a lot of people work with today. Instead of having to do all this connections, all these processes, we can reduce the time needed to create applications and to make more business processes efficient using the AI tools today.
I
This
love
is the
that.
clip. Yeah, yeah.
I love that example, and I really love the analogy of Excel and how to use the power of the spreadsheet to kind of reduce and improve the efficiency of your number crunching and stuff like that. And you take that over now and being able to use that in the same way to improve software development, coding, or this business processes in general, being able to use that same kind of automated approach that's very user intuitive in order to execute on process improvement in everyday life. I love that.
Great. I'm glad we're on the same page there.